You may be shocked to find out that people are still making games even for consoles that are long dead. I am the Game Collector and this is Second Opinion Games, and today we look at the Atari Jaguar's Homebrew Showcase.
Second Opinion Games.
First up, we have Astros Storm. I wonder what people really think. Do we need another Asteroids game? Sure, this one this time around is in 3D. Occasionally, the boulders will come straight at you, and it just doesn't have this going on. No, it has a full-fledged storyline, which I often jump right past because I don't care that much. It also has alien invaders coming at you, and they all act somewhat differently. Sometimes they could even invert your controls around, so you have to take out a certain red asteroid and then pick up that power-up with a different button. If you happen to shoot your power-up, well, it's gone and it's lost. So make sure you use your power-ups properly. And there's not just that. There's also the ability to continuously fire your shot because, of course, they overheat in time. And there's even some flying stages where you have to avoid the asteroid straight out and fly through different rings to get more energy. Well, more of a square ring anyway. Astros Storm is a solid pickup for your Atari Jaguar and certainly one you want to take a look at. But if you want something a little bit more old school, then you might as well pick up this dual card of Llamatron 2112 and Revenge of the Mutant Camels. This game was created by Jeff Minter and actually has a third game on here if you really wish to unlock it, and that is Grid Runner. Well, Grid Runner itself is the worst of the three games because it gets really choppy, so luckily it was just added in here for good fun. If you happen to like this, well, good for you. But honestly, it doesn't play that well. However, Llamatron 2112 plays like Robotron, but with llamas and sheep and just a whole lot of weird stuff going on. My biggest problem with this game is I just don't understand. Sometimes I think I could pick up something being a power-up and it will kill me. So I end up being afraid of virtually everything in this game. Now, there are so many crazy things, it just blows my mind. And when I played Revenge of the Mutant Camels, things just got really weird. Like, you could pick up a cigarette. At least I think that's a cigarette. It might be something else. But when you do, when you jump, you get really high. And you stay high for a long period of time. Also, when you complete a level, if you choose to have a GOAT AI follow you around, or if there's two players, something weird happens here in the corner. This is really awkward, and I feel bad for this camel. This card has a lot of value to it. After all, there are 3 different games on here, but it's only for the people that want to track down some really weird stuff and happen to really love sheep and llamas and camels and all that. The Atari Jaguar Cd gets some love here too. If you ever played a game like Caves or Flappy Birds, where you just have a character that continuously moves forward and you have to tap the button just right to guide your way through a narrow passage, well then this is Superfly Dx. But the controls are really good and there's tons of parallax scrolling that gives you the sense of tons of speed. This is incredible. It also has a full-fledged storyline. Now, one of my favorite parts about this game is your main character itself. It's this yellow guy that seems to have his own set of personality traits. And you even try to save a little girl in a yellow outfit too, with huge boobs. And everyone can enjoy that. This is a fun game, but it ends up being really tedious towards the end. After all, it's under the mechanics that here you have to do so far, and then next level you have to do twice as far, and the level after that twice as far. So by the time you end up on the last level of the game, well, you have to play for like an hour, and things just get way too frustrating. The same team from Reboot also made Kobayashi Maru. And remember that little yellow guy? Well, sometimes he happens to fall from the sky in this game. Yeah, it's just Time Pilot, but with a fresh coat of paint on it, and things seem pretty simple overall. but I happen to really like Time Pilot, and this is really great. However, there is no true ending to this game. After all, it is the Kobayashi Maru, meaning that you will fail no matter what. I've played this game so many times, though, that I happen to be pretty darn good at it. Now, I'm a little out of practice here, but I did get to the point where almost every single ship that I shot down ended up giving me an extra life because of how the score is calculated in this game. Meaning that I can pretty much say that I beat this game, because when I died, it was on my very own terms. Yeah, that means I could say that I beat the Kobayashi Maru. But not all is good in the homebrew world. Let's look at Frogs 64. Now, Frogger is a terrific game, but Wave 1 Games, the company that made this, just seemed to not know what they were doing. This is bad, and it's full of bugs, and I just don't mean the flies that happen to occasionally move by. No, I mean the game itself is just riddled with horrible game-breaking bugs that are just terrible. Like, for example, when I step on these logs, I don't actually move with them. No, I have to continuously move my characters on the logs, making it far harder than it should be. And it's not just like every level like this. Some levels it actually does move along with. However, when I got to the second level here, the game crashed. And that's a theme that you'll often run into with Frogs on the 64. It's just frustratingly, mind-numbingly buggy. Every time you defeat a level, you don't know what's going to happen next. And when you start to see bugs occur, you might as well turn the game off right then and there, pull it out, and then put it back in, and hopefully start up all over again. And if you don't do that, then even more bugs will happen. But Wave 1 doesn't make all games absolutely terrible. Here is Jag Zombies. It's a light gun shooter game for the Atari Jaguar, a console that never had a light gun made for it. Luckily, you could turn off the annoying flashing, and you could continuously shoot the zombies. When you have your reticle over the zombie itself, it turns red, so you're knowingly gonna hit them. There's even explosive barrels to blow up and launch zombies through the air. Occasionally, a civilian will even run by, but don't kill too many of them or it will be game over. None of the levels seem to last too long here. You can clear a stage relatively quickly. There's even bats that occasionally you have to shoot down, and it has a terrific end boss at the end of the game. And like I said, the best part about this arcade experience is that it doesn't last too long. The downside of that is that the game is like $60. Even though the packaging is terrific, well, it's just not worth it for the short time you'll be playing it. Jag Zombies is okay if you just happen to have that money laying around. Let's now switch to the best of the best, Escape 2042. Now, platformers are my thing, and this is the best platforming game on the Atari Jaguar. You start off in a prison, which happens to be the hardest level in the stinking game, and you have to pick up key cards. You also have a shaft grenade and even a grenade itself, but just one of these two items. However, you can beat the entire prison level without using them at all, which is what I did right here. And when you happen to escape, well, then there's a spaceship section, which I think is pretty inventive. You don't actually have any weapons. Instead, you have to dodge the asteroids in the atmosphere as other enemies are flying after you. And then the asteroids might smash into them if you can lure them into it just right. This was insanely creative, and I loved every second of it. Unfortunately, it was over far too soon. But then you end up on another desert world where now things get real. And remember to move to the left, because if you move to the right, then you're just going to have to backtrack because you have to get a key. Of course you do. And there are still tons of computers that you could hack into. What happens if you fail a hacking experiment? Well, you blow up and die. So you have to pay attention to exactly what you're doing at all times. If you happen to make it past this, well, then you'll be rappelling down a cave. And one of my favorite parts about this is the fact that the cave gets darker as you go down. And then finally, you're at an easy jungle section with not a lot of enemies. This is definitely the best platform game on the Atari Jaguar. And if you're a fan of platformers, well, this one is a must-have. And finally, we have Reboot Roads. It's another Asteroid game, and you might think we did not even want another Asteroid game, except for the fact that this is the best version of Asteroids that ever was. It's a multiplayer, so you could play as a deathmatch version, or you could play co-op, and one person fires and the other person steers and maneuvers the ship around, but that's way too freaking difficult. Trust me on that. No, it's best played single player. And when you do, well, there are a few other tricks up the game's sleeve. For example, you just don't want to jump in destroying all the asteroids all willy-nilly. No, you kind of want to focus on one at a time. There's also tons of power-ups like range extension or double damage or even a little bit of a twin spread shot. There's also tons of Easter eggs hidden around every corner. The music starts slow and increasingly gets more stressful. This is a beautiful gaming experience, and it also has 100 levels. If you happen to get a very high score, well, you take a snap at the QR code here and post your high score online on the forums and see how well you stack up against other real players of this game. But don't think you're gonna breeze through the whole game. No, it is long and hard. But after every 10 levels, it sort of saves it in a somewhat awkward way. You could always go back and play through starting at level 50 if you wanted to, or starting at 30 or 40. There's also some bonus stages that you have to shoot at a certain asteroid, and if you happen to clear all of them, you'll get an extra life. And when the stages get really far up there, you're gonna need every extra life you possibly can. This is also one of the best Atari Jaguar games, and it happens to be a homebrew game. Now, almost every single one of these games is available at AtariAge.com, but some of the other ones are available at Wave 1 Games. The packaging on those games is absolutely terrific, but they can be a little bit pricey. Atari Age is also not going to be cheap, but it's a small price to pay for some terrific games for your aging system that everyone else seemed to ignore. In the end, if you want more homebrew games to come out, well, you have to support the people that are making the homebrew games. Otherwise, they're just all going to dry up and become increasingly difficult for collectors to find. So you might as well pick up the best of them, like Reboot Roads or Escape 2042. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I had a great time making it. I kind of wanted to throw together a bit of a showcase for these homebrew games because some people are new to my channel. I already reviewed all of these in the past and a ton more. I am pretty much the #1 guy for Atari Jaguar reviews on the entire internet, and I do far more than that. I happen to love my hidden gems, and if you happen to have a hidden gem that you want me to cover in the future, well, let me know because I'm making lists non-stop, and I cannot wait to hear from you. After all, I'm in a tiny room playing my Jaguar for fun. So hopefully I hear from you soon, and until later, I will see you again, guys.